Hey, Frank, welcome to the show. As way getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Hey, Brian, honored to be on your show. A bit about myself. Frank Saunders, SVP of Sales for a SaaS company based in the Netherlands called Watergraph.com. We essentially plug in all the marketing channels into one sort of place, Google, Facebook, etc. And predominantly work with a lot of agencies around the world. I've been in sales for quite many years, but kind of transitioned from account management into sales. So that's quite a journey where one of my managers said to me back in the days, you're no account manager. And that's how I kind of kicked off my sales journey, really, where my manager was the one that actually was in a driving seat of transitioning me from the account manager into a salesperson. Being in sales, always in MarTech space, worked for a lot of other SaaS companies or ad tech companies, Google, SimilarWeb, etc., and always stick to the same industry. So I'm a believer that you should never, go outside of your industry. So always stick around the same industry because you can, recycle your contacts that you have on LinkedIn or etc. for, your future products that you'll be selling in the market. So I'm a believer, always stick to the place. So digital marketing, ad tech, MarTech, that's the place where I want to be long term. And I'm not even looking to, join some other verticals, finance or logistics or God knows. So yeah.
And are you an individual contributor or are you people?
Sorry, I apologize. So I had a sales team, 15 of them right now, and we're looking actually to triple our team by the end of December. So looking at about 40, 50 people. So I have account execs and SDRs on the inbound, on the outbound front, people that contacting to a lot of folks around the world. And generally speaking, we're looking to triple our growth as a business. So it's a quite exciting year to be in. I've joined the company actually on the 1st of December. And we're already rocking the boat, and a lot of exciting activities happening. And hiring is one of my biggest pain points, I would say, for January. Really, going through the hiring loop, and that's quite an undertaking because I have to do most of that, and I have to do a lot of pre-screening, etc. And yeah.
And well, let's dig into that. Like, what type of people and why is it hard?
So, I always look at hiring sort of best-in-class sales talent. So I believe, I fit into that sort of realm where I'm going to be the best of breed salesperson myself. And I want to also hire very hungry individuals that are not necessarily similar to me, but have a similar mindset, growth hacking mindset of, whatever you want to call this in sales. Or I want to hire individuals that are actually going to become the top 1% within the next 12 months. So there's the time frame always there. Yeah. I'm able to make these people the top 1% in the sales world. And then the idea is they will be interviewed by you also in the future as well. So, that's the type of thinking. And, every time when I speak to the person, I'm thinking to myself, can I make this person, like if they're not best in class, can I make them within the next 12 months? So that's the time frame always I have in my mind. However, if it's going to take me 2 or 3 years, the answer is like straight away no. It's just too long. You have to be like a vacuum cleaner where you process information and then there's output every week, and you're compounding on those changes every single week, and it makes you better and better and better at your job. And you're flying then as a salesperson, right? Yep. Not just in the USDR front, AE, then enterprise sales and all that stuff, right? So you're kind of progressing super fast. That's the type of people that I'm really hungry for to hire. But I can tell you currently, I'm rejecting 9 out of 10 people currently. So the bar is high naturally. A lot of people are applying. A lot of people want to be part of the rocket, let's call it that way, because we're growing very fast. But at the end of the day, I will not, I'm definitely looking for the top 1% right now, or top 1% to be within the next 12 months.
And how can you tell that? Are you looking at just resumes, or is it through networking?
No. So funny enough, what I introduced as of this week as a part of the process, and I think that's a bit of innovative in sales. So when people send over their resume over to us, to Watergraph, one of the things that people get straight away back in the inbox is, please send your 1-minute elevator pitch to Frank via LinkedIn. Why do you want this job? And what motivates you about sales? So because we also hire a lot of people without any sales background. So as long as I see the hungriness and the appetite in their eyes to be selling and closing, I'll be definitely considering people, for the SDR roles right now. So that, step where people send me a video via LinkedIn, like an elevator pitch saying, "Hey, Frank, I'm just applying for Watergraph for the SDR role on outbound or inbound, and these are the reasons why I want to join Watergraph." I mean, that allows me to very quickly understand the type of character and whether I should proceeding them to the sort of stage one, or what I call, where then we have a sort of 30-minute chat. It allows me a bit more to qualify that person. So yeah, that video is, I think, comes quite handy, really. And because it's a bit boring, I think, in a lot of sort of hiring world. Send me the CV, and then maybe we'll reach out to you. Whereas I'm sort of very easygoing. Just send me the video. Why do you want this job? And show me that that hunger in your face. Why you want this role? Why Watergraph? Why sales? How much money you want to be making? Where do you want to be in the future, etc. Like that can be captured within the minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of videos, and I believe you're as well.
Well, video communicates so much more.
Yeah,
That resume,
yeah.
it's
People make up things on resumes, and I've been the best salesperson, blah blah blah. I can fairly quickly figure out within a minute of somebody presenting themselves or a video whether they definitely they were getting those awards in the past, or etc. And I don't do any reference checks, so I don't speak to the previous VP of sales or other companies. Hey, can you give me a reference? That sucks up a lot of your time. So yeah, I mean, I would say that video, that 1 minute video, definitely helps a lot.
and in that video, what are you looking for? Is it energy? Is it communication skills? Is it hunger?
Energy, communication skills. I mean, generally speaking, I evaluate people in our organization based on sort of 4 performance pillars. So pillar number 1 is performance. Can you hit the numbers, the quota that is being given to you, right? And that's when I'm interviewing people, can I see this person hitting the quota on a monthly basis or not? Then pillar number 2 is your commitment to the business. So can I see that energy, that commitment for your own work, for speaking to the prospects, which then trickles down to your team and then to the rest of the organization? And do you want to stick around with the organization for more than a year, right? So and do I see person wanting to be around with us for a long time? Because when I'm investing into an individual, I don't want that person to leave within a year, right? So I'm definitely looking for individuals that are going to stick around for a long time. I'm going to invest a lot of my time into them and making them sort of best in class sales talent out there. Pillar number 3 is really the competence. Does the person that have already competence, or can I help them to get that competence in getting the better at the job, being as an SDR, or the AE in the future, and being a sales manager, and all that stuff? Can I see those competencies that are lacking, but I can develop them super quickly myself within the next 12 months? That's the time frame. And then number 4 is the sales culture. So it's a bit subjective, whether you are as a person morphing within the team or demorphing from the team, right? So those people that love to hang around with other people, and you're not just a person that sort of sits in a silo somewhere that never communicates, right? So you can get that. So even like the eye contact, right? So are you looking to me, eye to eye, and we're discussing something, a very important topic, or you're just looking somewhere like, oh, what, so there's what sales culture is all about. So, and that's exactly, so those are the 4 sort of pillars that I'll evaluate everybody from the moment that they apply for Watergraph, and then they send out over that video, and then I kind of try and get my sort of first impression on the 4 pillars. And then as the person joins Watergraph, they go through probation. Again, at the end of the probation, I review those 4 pillars, and then it becomes really as part of their sort of employment with Watergraph, where I would review everybody, those 4 pillars. And the way I look at it, so once the person has been with us around for a while, you have to, if you sort of use the traffic light system, you always have to score yellow or green. And if any of those 4 pillars, if you have scored red for a couple months, then you're a question mark. Then you're going for a performance plan, right? So that's a very sort of simple process that I follow, really. And I can tell you that I had to unfortunately let go people that have been great performers, but have consistently scored red on the cultural pillar. It just, it just
Not a fit.
it's not a fit really with the company. And that, I'd rather let go people, even though they're super good performers, but they're demotivating the rest of the team, right? And I need those players that are able to move as part of the team, that are able to motivate others and make everybody to be here, and part of this sort of rocket as well. So, yeah, those 4 pillars are always key to me. They'll look at, and a lot of other sales leaders also embrace similar sort of pillars. They might call that, different something, but really that's what you should be looking at, I believe, in every salesperson.
I like that because too many people think they have to go through the website, fill out the form, attach their resume, and wait.
Yeah.
You're giving the invite. This is my process. Send me a video, because you now open that door. Well, let's say the video is a B-, and you're like, send another video.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden, because that is what sales is. It's outside the process.
Yeah.
And
exactly. And I can tell you another thing that, why video is crucial is because actually we use a platform called Vidyard. Maybe you're familiar. So we do video selling. So naturally, I'm also evaluating how you're going to be in front of the camera in a lot of key prospects that you're going to be reaching out to. Can you do a simple elevator pitch to me why you want this job? Because, a few weeks down the line, you're going to be pitching our product to a lot of prospects out there. And we talk to 1,000 prospects per month, every individual. So, we talk to a lot of people out there. And I just, want to also understand how you're going to perform in front of camera. And a lot of people shoot, videos with their smartphones, etc. Right? That's super easy. So
because people will say, well, I don't have a camera. Well, there's one in your pocket. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, I like getting away from the excuses. How about a college degree? What's your thought on that?
No need for a college degree. I can tell you that I hired plenty of folks that don't have college degrees at all, or haven't finished. Or I can tell you that I hired actually people that have been in the military, and that have converted into a salesman. So yeah, I mean, there are things that I would value more than others, but predominantly, I don't look at necessarily what the person has been doing in the past. I'm looking at them, what they can do for me in present and into the future. For me, heading up the sales team, for Watergraph as the organization, for their team, for themselves, and that's why, also these companies like Google, they start, ignoring the college degrees and all that stuff, because doesn't necessarily isn't a factor that makes you better, really. There's that theory that you can, you grasp during your college days, but actually when it comes to delivering on the sales floor, then it's a totally different ball game, right?
Yes. And I've noticed this almost, in my history, the people who did go to a good school feel almost entitled that they don't have to do this grind thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you. And, I also interviewed quite a few people, and, they feel entitled that they can get any job out there. But again, they won't perform over a video. Their CV looks nice. They have, Howard University degree, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, in sales, you don't have to have these fancy degrees. And really that character, and I believe one of your, previous also speakers was saying, that grit, that perseverance in everything that you do in your life, that has to shine through that video. And that video is really, for me, the key. And that's exactly the way I gotta be hiring into 2021 and 2022 and so forth. And there's so much sort of what I say juice that you can get out of the person when you see that video. You can see that sparkle in the eyes, really. So yeah, because one of the things that I'm a big proponent of is fighting the sameness, whether that's talking to our prospects, hiring, etc. What can we do different that makes us really stand out from the rest of the guys, right? Because we kind of all sound like the same. We look the same, our titles are the same, etc. And I don't want to swim with the rest of the sharks out there, right, in the ocean.
Right.
So one of the simple things that I've done, Brian, is I've changed the titles for my team as of 1st of January. So instead of calling them account execs, I want people to perceive us more like them. So we speak to a lot of agencies, and the sales teams on the agency side are called client partners. So I have renamed all of my guys as client partners. So they're not anymore account execs. It confuses our internal leadership team, that we have, these new title. And so they call client partners, and actually then SDRs are called also partnerships, that development execs. And so there's one word in there that I'm trying to shine the light to. That is, we're not trying to sell the product really. I mean, we are definitely, but in front of our prospects, we want to build partnerships. We want to partner up with prospects.
Right.
And everybody, that's also approaching our prospect, they're called also account execs, SDRs, etc. Right? So we don't want to be, swimming with those guys,
Right.
because some of them are average, some of them are good, some of them are very annoying, right? We're not going to be in a different swimming lane really there. And that's why it was key for us to change those titles and look more like people essentially you want to do business with, really. Right. So
now let's say that video is great, it's an A. What do you do then?
So in terms of hiring, if that's was a great video, or he definitely did his best, or she did her best, I invite the person for a 30-minute chat and ask a lot more questions from the person, and I ask two exact same questions to everybody. Doesn't matter which position you're applying for. So question number one, that the tricky question that I ask is, so tell me about a time when you and your manager were in disagreement and how you handled that situation. So it doesn't matter whether you had sales related or you did internships or whatever you did in the past. Tell me about the time how you handled that situation. And naturally, one of the things I want to people to show me those problem solving skills, because there's a lot of tricky situations in sales. How do you go around that? And I really want to see how people answer this question, this very tricky question. And there's plenty of disagreement with your managers, your sales manager, about X opportunities, etc. And a lot of people, will have really good answers, but some of them will say, me and my manager didn't see eye to eye, and they blame the manager, blah blah blah, right? And if they go down that route, I was like, sorry, but I don't think it's a fit here. So that's question number one. But the question number two is, so everybody sort of brags about how great they are and all about their awards that they had in the past, etc. But then I would ask them, tell me about your biggest development area, your biggest weakness that you observed, over your current sort of career, and that you want to work on in the next 12 months. So people need to realize what they're good at, which everybody realizes what they're good at, but a lot of them don't realize what they're bad at. And that realization, people it's still struggling. People tell me, I don't know, Frank. I have to really think about it. I mean, really, there is definitely at least one thing. I can name probably at least 10 things that I know I'm weak at, and I would want to develop. In the near future. And those two questions is what I ask every single candidate in the stage one. A part of saying that we're looking to grow 3x our revenue and all that stuff later this year. So if they pass the sort of that stage, then I'm putting them in front of my sales team. So they have to pitch the product. The product is relatively simple. So doing a 15 to 30 minutes research on Google, YouTube, whatever, you can quickly figure out what the product does. And so people essentially jump on a Zoom call, Hangouts, or whatever, and then they would have to pitch that to a couple people. So a couple of our best salespeople at Watergraph. And then they have to give me that feedback, that raw feedback. What do you think about that person? Have that, what it takes. Did they ask the right question? Did they steer the conversation in the right direction? And did they aim for the close, really? So once they pass that, all great. Then there's a final stage, which is the stage 3 or 4, what do I call it? That we actually ask the candidates to come into the office. So essentially, everything happens online. And then we ask for that final stage for the person to come into the office and get a feel for the job. So we'll open, somebody will be there in the office to coordinate that session. It's like usually for an hour or 2 hours. And show them around our tooling, our process, etc. They get the ability to jump on a couple of calls as well within an hour or two, and book a few demonstrations of the platform, and get that feeling for the actual work. So it's more for the candidate and for us, just to solidify the understanding whether they want to join Wordgraph or not. So I always say you have to be either 100% in or 100% out. So if you have any doubts at all about any employment out there, you should be always saying 100. You should always say no. Like if there's any doubt, do not say yes, because it's bad. It's waste of the company's time and the hiring manager's time. And it's also waste of your time, right? Through going through that experience, by the end of it, you should be like, I'm 100% in. I want to make money. I want to grow here as an individual, and I want to do great things for this company. So.
Yeah. And let's go back to that conflict with a manager. What are you looking for there?
So how they resolve any conflicts, really. There'll be a lot of conflicts in the sales world as well going into the future, but I rather ask those. A lot of people will have tricky situations in sales, but I'm more interested sometimes looking at the different side of the coin. Tricky situations with your manager, how you resolve that, because that will be relatively similar, I would say. But I just want to test that thinking and that problem solving and conflict resolution essentially.
Because the common one I hear is, oh, my manager wants me to do this, but they don't think it's going to have any impact on sales.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think I have these, like, very bluntly. I don't think I have had this yet. I'm trying to think now. But yeah, there could be any situation. Like my manager wants to do for me to do X, and then I did not agree, and then I was not very motivated. But what do you actually do about it, right? Yeah. Still, at the end of the day, your manager asks you or tells you to do X. It's not like you have a lot of choice. Yes, you can disagree with that, and then you don't see eye to eye on that topic. But still, at the end of the day, there's probably a reason why your manager asked you to do that thing, even though maybe he didn't say the backstory of it. Why are we actually doing this? You still I want the person to to voice that they have a belief in their manager. There's probably a reason why this needs to be done. Maybe they haven't been transparent about the backstory of this task. Or if they did not agree with their manager, did they, take some data from Salesforce, I don't know, or from somewhere, from a CRM, to say, no, Mr. Manager, I don't believe this is a good decision. Here's, data that backs up why we should not be doing this, right? Or, I want them to be, have that, sort of thinking that they will be able to voice, but not just say, oh, I think my manager, whatever,
Tell them whatever he wants to hear.
Yeah. So there's definitely, and that's one of those questions where I want to hear those tricky situations, because, that's a usually uncommon question to ask in the interview process. I also believe in sales, it's very uncommon to have such a question to ask. So, and I'm trying to, again, find the sameness and ask questions that people don't expect during the hiring process, but still test their thinking. Are they gonna do a lot of sort of objection handling on the call, etc.?
Right, because they're going to have it, and they're going to have it with their client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not just gonna have that internally and externally as well, right? So both worlds are they're not mutually exclusive, right? So I would say how you behave internally with your internal stakeholders will be very similar how you're going to behave with the external stakeholders, which is your prospects in sales, right? So that's why for me both worlds are kind of similar, the way I look at it, because I can't imagine you being having a nice discussion with your manager and not having a nice discussion with your prospects. So yeah.
Well, I think it's good that if they try and resolve it versus ignoring it and just smiling and nodding.
Yes. Yeah.
And putting it under the carpet to find out if, first of all, how real is it?
Yeah.
is it just a hint, or is it a demand?
Yeah.
Is it a requirement, or is it a suggestion?
Yeah, exactly. And this, I had plenty of disagreements with my managers, right?
Of
And
course.
I handled those. And I also want people to think about how they handle those disagreements with their managers. It will be very similar in a sales situation where, maybe pricing comes up or something comes up, and you'll have to handle this situation. And everybody's kind of prepared to answer these questions during their interviews, but they're not ready when it comes to, hey, had you ever had this situation, how you handled that with your direct manager. And then a lot of people are like, oh, I have to really think about this, because nobody's prepared really for these sort of questions.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
do you have a distinction between like what's a definite thumbs up, issue the offer, and what's a maybe?
Yeah, I can tell you that there's definitely candidates where I said there's no point for you to go to the next stages, or you're hired straight away. I think the way I would probably describe is we're on the same wave, sort of. It feels like we're kind of speaking the same language. And it's a very sort of mature candidate. You can sense there's no red flags in my first sort of conversation. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? There's no point for you to go through these other stages. It's going to be just going to be a waste of your time and my time. Let's proceed straight to the offer. But I would say it's a bit tricky, because when I'm discussing, this is a half an hour conversation when I'm having it with the person. And again, this probably would depend when I'm hiring for
Sure.
an SDR or for an AE, right? But for SDRs, I'm less picky. I don't really care that they have experience on it. But if I feel like this is a mature candidate, and they're really nailing every single question that I throw at them, it just there's no point. They're gonna perform very well in the rest of the stages. So I'd rather say, hey, I think there's no point for you to go through the rest of the stage. How about we start on Monday? So I had a candidate exactly like this. Her name is Stephanie. I spoke to her on Monday, and she started today. So, man, she skipped all the rest of the stages. So,
And how about if somebody flakes at the end? Not flakes, just people give a thumbs medium, right? And you pass.
yeah.
Has anybody come back at you and flipped you?
No, not yet.
No.
Probably still to come later this year, but
Would you be
not
open
yet.
to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably would, yeah. But I've done hiring quite a bit in my life, so I'm already I roughly know what I'm looking in candidates, really. And if hiring would be a very new thing for me, then yes, I would probably want every person to go through sort of every stage. But I can tell you that I'm definitely super picky when it comes to onboarding AEs that are coming externally into the organization, because what we sell is fairly complicated from an AE standpoint. From an SDR standpoint, less so. So I rather, I have a preference for promoting internally candidates, so SDRs, promoting into AEs, into the closing team, rather than hiring externally. There's always something, I don't want to say wrong, something not right there, essentially, with hiring some of the candidates externally. Usually the experience isn't there, or they've been doing some sort of different selling that doesn't really fit with the digital marketing landscape, etc. So it's very difficult. So I'd rather want people to go through this career track at Rotograph. Yeah, so I want them to start with the inbound team where they learn the product, then jump on the outbound SDR team where they then call up 1,000 prospects per month and talk to them and get into these competitive situations. And we have over 10 competitors. So every second call that the outbound team makes, there's always competitor there, really, that we have to kind of navigate around. Displays. And so that's the sort of the second step of your career at Rotograph. And then the next is where I'm looking at the conversion, into AE, and then further down we actually into enterprise team. So that's the fourth team. So there's definitely these four steps, and when joining Autograph, and I'm very clear and transparent with every person that, this is step one, inbound is the art team, step two, outbound is the art team, then going to becoming an AE, and then enterprise AE, right? That's really the career trajectory. And then you should be probably taking over my job in the future.
How about location? Is that optional or a requirement?
So I'm definitely a fan of I want people to deliver the best output, and if that means working from the office, please do come into the office if you wish to do so. But if you do say to me that Frank, I actually believe I deliver a lot more working from home, sure, work from home. So meaning, yes, we have an official location, but everybody, especially because of COVID, works from home. But I'm definitely open to, in particular with AEs, to be hiring remotely anywhere in the world, really.
Yep.
As long as my HR team is fine with that, which is they usually are fine. But I'm definitely open to that idea. And another candidate told me last week, Frank, are you okay if every second week I would fly to another country and work from there? I was like, sure. As long as you hit your targets, produce, yeah. I mean, there's no issue with that. If you want to work out of Dubai next week, sure, off you go. If you want to go to Maldives or India or China, as long as you deliver on the numbers and we have that alignment, that sure, to go there, as long as you're safe, and which is still my number one concern, right, when it comes to these specific times. But I want people to be feeling safe when they do your job as well. And a lot of people, let's say, they don't feel safe coming to the office, and then I tell them, what, just work from home. It's totally fine. If you don't want to come to the office, that's fine. I can tell you. So we had one person that joined the org, and he joined on Wednesday. He was there until Friday at the office, and then I have never seen him again for the last 2 weeks. And that's fine. He's delivering. It's all good. I don't have to watch him or anything. I'm a believer that everybody's accountable for their targets, right? For producing and delivering. And that's what I have expectation from myself and from everybody in my team, right? And if they work from remotely or somewhere else, totally fine.
Cool. Hey, Frank, I really appreciate your time today. For those who would like to work for you, how should they get in touch with you and follow you?
Sure. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn, LinkedIn/in/Frank Saunders. And if you want to work for me, it's watergraph.com/career, and you can find plenty of jobs out there. But yeah, thanks for your time.